On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will move off of inanimate Star Wars content as they aim to tier list rank as many trooper variants as their AI overlords will allow. Stay tuned to find out which troopers are worthy soldiers and which ones should be guarding empty hallways. They'll also answer Ask Us Anything questions in review 28 years later. Of course, they'll end the show with the Question of the Week responses and the latest round of Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features. Punch it, Chewie. Hey, now, everybody! Welcome back to the Star Wars Time Show. Yay! Just call us the listicle show, the tier ranking show at this point in time, because I feel like that's all we've been doing. But I think you guys are digging it. So we've got another tier list rank off today. In fact, this is going to be a two-parter. That's right, people. 2 parts to get through this. We can't be doing 3-hour shows, 4-hour shows every week. So when we settled on the Trooper tier list, which was a fan request, because we're all about our fans, right, Nick? I mean,
that's right.
We acquiesce, we shift, we turn to do what the fans want. So we had Phil ask, hey, can you guys maybe rank off some troopers? And when I started looking at how many troopers there were, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we're not doing this in one go. So this is gonna be 2 parts. So this week we're covering trooper variants from the prequel era through the original trilogy. So that's gonna include, the Rise of the Empire, so Bad Batch stuff, Obi-Wan Kenobi series stuff. What other type of Solo stuff, Rogue One stuff, Andor stuff. You never know what type of stuff we've got here. So, and then we'll go all the way through Return of the Jedi, and then next week we'll pick up with Mandoverse era troopers through the sequel trilogy with legends. See, we're not just canon homers over here. We also got the legends covered. So
we got it all covered.
Yeah, lots of stuff in here. Let's address the chat. We always do this live in case you're just a podcast only listener. We do it Wednesdays, 5:30 p East. Or as close as we can get, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. First things first, Michael Kramer, appreciate you, buddy, for that super chat before the show even started. And don't really care that Aaron said he's one and done. That's kind of fine. That's less poison for Will Howard. So there's your bonus answer for the cash. And then I saw some more cash rolling in here from our boy Based and Brazen, a.k.a. the B-Mad. We appreciate you, brother. We love you. We speak your name. Hey there, Cole Cowan. Always love when the Across the Pond people check in. Good to see you. Landon Plays 23. Yeah! Who else is in here? Anybody? I think that's about it. Maybe the rest of the gang will come in later. All right, my friends.
Your boys in here. Rory talking about the Niners.
Yeah, his team's on a slide now too, but I think they're in better shape than the Stillers. Like I said, this Aaron Rodgers thing, I'm all for it. Blow this fucking squad up. Get rid of Tomlin. Let's clean the slate. The time is now. Why did Luke Skywalker kiss his sister? Well, he grew up on a farm, and we know what happens on farms. I don't think it's that far of a reach to think that he might have made out with his sister. Who knows what he was doing with Opies when Uncle Owen wasn't looking? You never know. I mean, Luke kind of is the Alabama character of Star Wars, all right?
Yeah, Tatooine is the deep south of the Star Wars universe. You got to remember that.
That's right. Welcome, Joker PP420. Thank you for your contribution to the live stream here. Hey, all right, so if you're new here, we always start the show with a little Ask Us Anything, then we'll get into some pop talk to talk about anything cool in pop culture, and then we'll slide into the Star Wars time-appropriate topic, which this week, like I said, is tier ranking the trooper variants from the prequel eras through the original trilogy. All right, here we go. Tatooine is Louisiana.
That's right.
Nick is like, we could do a case study on Nick. Like, I still do not know how he does not talk like he goes out and shoots alligators in the head after sinking a treble shook into their throat overnight. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you're
Yeah.
like we said this before. I mean, you're pretty like Bayou type of Louisiana.
Yeah, we're me and Phil, my friend Phil, who suggested the trooper tier list. We're both down southeast Louisiana people, but neither one of us have that thick accent.
He's not
So
working at his important science job. Like, hey, go get that, say, you gotta get that boy, get Rocky Pool over there, goddamn Rocky.
No, they probably would have to have a translator on staff if he was talking.
Like, hey man, what the fuck did Phil just say again?
I know this guy's a genius, but I just can't understand him.
Oh shit. All right, let's get into it. We have no time to waste. We have 40 troopers to get through, so we are not going to piss around today, if you know what I mean. So let's go ahead and bring up the Ask Us Anything for this week. If you want to get involved in that, you got to be following us on our socials. We usually put the prompt up there a few times throughout the week, especially on Instagram, since we always get kind of algo buried over there. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yeah, me. Nah, I'm the Samoan werewolf. All right. Did a little Raw this Monday, so I'm still hyped up from being at a wrestling event. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
We are in the appropriate section where Jey Uso walks through the crowd, so I timed it perfectly, walked out, got in the tunnel, got the kid out there, literally it's like 2 feet from me. It's pretty neat. All right. Here we go. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. I like wrestling, but I also don't, make out with my sister, if you know what I mean. Okay, let's bring up these questions here. We got one coming from Baron's Black Series. This dude's really feeling himself being a parent lately. So he's got another parenting question. What's one thing you learned from your parents that you chose to either do or not do as a parent yourself? Pretty much everything they did, I'm trying not to do. How's that? I'd say one positive thing would probably be work ethic and get the things you have to get done before you have fun. That's probably the biggest lesson I've brought forward that has not completely poisoned my daughter's mind. A lot of the other stuff I tried to use for my parents, it kind of set me back in parenting, and my kid put a little fear in her of me, which I do not like at this point in life, but I'm working on it. So there you go. All right. Nick, he didn't have any kids, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next question here. All right. Kramer again. What are your top 5 favorite rock bands?
My top 5 favorite rock bands.
Yeah, we'll start with that.
Yeah. So rock bands, man. I would say that Rise Against is up there because I consider Rise Against a rock. I'm not going to put metal bands on there because it's a rock band question. I'll say Rise Against is up there. I will say Linkin Park is probably number 1. I consider them a rock band, even though they're kind of new metal-y. I'll put Tool. Tool is up there. I'll say that they're a rock band too. So that's 3. A Perfect Circle, which is just a reversion of Tool because it's the same lead singer. And then last one. Dang, that's a good question. I will say that my final one is Sleep Token because I consider them like a rock metal band. So I'll say those 5 are my top 5 rock bands.
I am not going to put as many guardrails on my answer as you because a lot of stuff to me is rock, even if it's alternative, this, that, or the other thing. So
exactly.
So Dave Matthews Band goes in there 100%. Pink Floyd, Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin. I want to put in the Beatles because they're kind of the godfathers of American rock, and they did a lot of shit that wasn't being done. I know a lot of the newer generations don't quite appreciate what the Beatles did for music, but I'll go a little more modern since I listed 3 classic rock bands, although the Beatles have to be in there, so I'm taking 6, and I'm also going to throw in Pearl Jam. All right.
Nice.
And he's got another one there. If you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be and why, Nick?
That's a great question, and I know the answer right off the top of my. Follow your passions. Follow your passions. If I ever have a child, which is possible one day, maybe happen, that would be one thing that I would tell them from the moment that they were cognizant enough to understand what I was saying. Follow your passions.
Yeah, I mean, I would love
'Cause
to
if you
say
do
that too. So just to change it up, I'll say don't do drugs at a young age.
that's a
Okay?
good qualifier.
Yeah. Don't do drugs at a young age. Wait a little bit till your brain's fully formed. There's one thing that I regret doing when I was still 18, 19. It was a cycle of roids, and I'm pretty sure it's fucked up my body for life. Just like endocrine system, everything. And then even my favorite, like the MJ, I still think at 19 that's a little too young to kind of start getting into that habit. So there you go. Always honesty here, people. It's probably going to get me thrown in jail one of these days or fired, but I have a hard time not being honest. All right. Thank you, Kramer. Next up and Ask Us Anything. Here we go. Philip Schnitzky. Is that how you say it?
Shinetsky. Yeah.
Does he go by Philip or is he a Phil?
I always call him Phil, but
Okay.
I imagine that his work people might call him Mr. Shinetsky because he's a upper level guy.
That's right.
He's the man.
They call him fucking Sir, Nick. What are you talking about?
That's right.
Okay. Phil's actually going to have 2 questions this week because I fucked him over last week and he let me know and I felt bad about it. So, Phil, your first one here. What's the better fight scene from Lord of the Rings, Battle of Helm's Deep, or the Battle of Gondor, young Nick? That's a tough one,
man,
but I'm sure you have a favorite.
I like Helm's Deep. Helm's Deep to me is the first battle that I saw in Lord of the Rings. So I was like, holy shit, what's going on here? I feel like the Battle of Gondor is a lot of like especially like the Planar Fields battle. Like you don't see a lot of like melee hand-to-hand combat. Like it's the trebuchet battle. Then they're pushing in with Grond. They're busting the door down, and they just kind of melee over.
Hey, Nick, is that the one, where Gandalf rides out to save Faramir? Is that the one where like he's riding, he blinds the light, and you got like the boys choir, that song, like
yeah, that's the Battle of Planar Fields. So that's like right as the Battle of Gondor is starting. Yeah,
that is a moment.
But Helm's Deep is sick. I love Helm's Deep.
Yeah, you are right. I mean, Helm's Deep, it's also a siege battle, but it definitely gets up close and personal after they blow the first wall there, and the good guys technically do lose. I mean, all the defenses get shattered, and if it wasn't for Gandalf showing up with the riders of the Rohirrim at the last second, that's it. So Gandalf involved big moments in both, shining moments. Here comes our white wizard to save the day. Since Nick took Helm's Deep, I'm going to go and roll with Gondor. It's longer. The stakes are bigger. More factions are involved. I mean, you got all the ring race out there. The king of them fighting, and what's her name? Eowyn takes him out. So yeah, I'll go Gondor. Damn, I need to. It's been a while since I've watched these things. It's about time. I think it's about time. Nick, do you always go extended edition these days, or do you theatrical? Okay, all right.
Extended 100% of the time, all the time.
What's the one where they wake up all the goblins? That's the first one where they're in the mines of Moria. That's the first one. Okay, yeah. I mean, Lord of the Rings, fantastic stuff. Peter Jackson is a hero. I still even think The Hobbit is worthwhile as an attachment to those films. I mean, I know not a lot of people love them, but still not bad. All right, Scion XTC. Any advice for someone getting married? Today is my big day. Well, Scion, I'll be married this November 18 fucking years. I've been with the same person 20, and I can tell you our biggest struggle these days, all the years in, when all the veneers worn off and you're two people living together and sometimes you want to headbutt each other. It's all about communication. It's all about, if you can't communicate with your partner the proper way, you will not have a long-term relationship. Okay, I've been in couples therapy over the past few years. You got to put in the work. It's because that lovey-dovey shit wears off quick. 5 years, 10 years in, 20 years in, then you throw kids in the mix to where you're not really even partners anymore. You're parents taking care of a human. So it's all about communication. Bat saying, run away, run away. And Base and Brazen, I don't hate you, man. I did not think The Hobbit was as bad as the world made it. All right. Yep. League is agreeing on the communication. Nick, I don't know. I mean, I know you're kind of in some states would be common law married at this point. I don't know if
I
Texas
did.
recognizes that. So
Yeah. So technically in Texas we are common law married. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Communication is the key to a strong relationship.
yeah,
We've been together. Taylor and I have been together for 7.5 years
yeah. I just say
now.
I think it's getting up towards double digits at this point. I
Yeah,
think.
we're close to 10. But yeah, I mean, communication. Don't be afraid of judgment from your partner. That's why they're your partner. Just keep the lines open and then understand when things need to be talked about and not shoved to the side, for sure.
There you go. League's in a 20 year one too. You know, we're there. Us old people, we're logging the years now. I know he's called Young Nick, but he's getting up there too. He's gonna be 40 one of these decades. So watch
So
out.
soon,
Uh,
yeah.
we're always gonna call him Young Nick on this show. That's for sure, because he is younger than this old motherfucker screaming at clouds, if you know what I mean. All right, next question coming from Tong Wars. I love this one, and I want to see where Young Nick goes. What did you imagine the Clone Wars to be the very first time you heard them mentioned by Kenobi in his hovel?
Oh man, that's such a good question,
know,
right?
I
Like
know.
I guess like my first thought was it was like clones fighting each other. Like it was like one
Spot
army
on.
and then the other army and they were just clones of each other and they were
Yep.
fighting. So not that like, oh, the Republic has clones and then the CIS has robots. It was like, oh, this army is a clone of this army and they're going at it. That was my first thought.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I watched this shit when I was probably 1.5, 2 years old, so I didn't even know what the hell clones were. But once I realized what clones were, I was right with Nick. I thought it was just all these same looking people fighting each other, fucking up the galaxy with the war. You know, and the Jedi like
Yeah.
had to get in there and be like, all right, clones, chill out. No more wars,
Yeah.
okay? You know, so I had no idea it is what it turned into. I mean, I do kind of like how George set it up. I mean, that part of the prequel, like Palpatine's long game and how he set all that up with Sifo Dyas and then Dooku and Jango, that stuff is great. So I do think the actual Clone Wars, Nick, ended up being better than the Clone Wars you and I envisioned in our mushy brains. You know what I mean?
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, Bat saying clone Jedi, that works too. But I like
Yeah,
Nick,
yeah.
spot on to Nick. I was like, damn man, these fucking clones and their wars screwed everything up for Anakin
It's like,
and
what's
the
going
Jedi.
on over here?
Yeah. Okay, we got any more of these? Yeah, we do. League coming in. Have y'all been watching Rex? League, you live in New York. What are you doing using y'all? Come on. Have y'all
Picked it
been
up from
watching
me.
Wrexham? So exciting. Me, that's a big no. I've not seen a single season of Wrexham, even though I appreciate Reynolds and that other dude that run it. Nick, are you into that?
I watched the first 2 seasons, but I have not been up on the last one, but I have been following along with the story through the news. Like, you know, they have, you know, done their promotions and everything like that. It's actually very impressive what they've been able to do with that club in a very short amount of time. They promoted to the Champions League now. Like they're in the Champions League. So that's pretty crazy to go from outside of the English Football League, like official like tier rankings, to within 3 or 4 years of them owning it, they're now in the Champions League, which is wild.
I mean, Nick, it's more or less real life Ted Lasso, but more impressive, right? In terms of what the team's
Yeah,
accomplished.
essentially, yeah. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah, so very
Right.
very impressive stuff.
Yeah, I mean, these days we're catching up on White Lotus. Just finished season 2. It was a good one. Love that show. Love the writing. Love the acting, the music, all that fun stuff, and like documentary stuff. I mean, the Titan sub. It's on Netflix. It's on. I think Max has one. What else did I watch that was documentary based that was pretty good? Oh well, it doesn't matter. I'm playing a lot of catch up these days. I haven't watched that new robot show on Apple. I heard that's pretty good. I heard Department Q's pretty good on Netflix. I have not checked that
Yeah,
out either. So
we're way behind. We're way behind on everything.
all right, yeah. I mean, listen, it happens when you get old, and I've got too much. I don't want to bitch because I think I live a pretty good life, but I got a lot of shit to do. You know, I got my job, I got Star Wars time, I got the guitar. I got golf driving me nuts. I went for my first lesson in 30 years on Monday, and now I think everything's broken with that game. So, it's just like, I pick the worst hobbies. And anytime I pick a hobby, I have fun with it for about 6 months, then I ruin it and make it a job. So guitar, golf, this show, anything Star Wars, I kind of pissed all over it. What does my retirement look like based in Brazen? I don't know. I mean, if the world doesn't melt down, this country doesn't completely implode, I'm due a pension, a full pension at 64. So I'd probably ride it out to that because my pension would be pretty solid. We're talking well into 6 figures a year still. So I just, chill out, do what I don't know. Who knows if I'll still be making this. I'm being dead serious. I do not think the world as it exists now is going to exist when I'm 64. And I know anyone can say that, but I'm talking like drastic changes. You got all the weird shit happening with the world governments, but more so than that, AI. Like, if people aren't paying attention to AI, you're crazy. It's doing everything the movies would say it would do, and it's going faster and faster and faster. I mean, it could change this world fundamentally in a great way, but it also could definitely cause some major shenanigans for humanity. All right, Base and Brazen, you get to write an Andor spinoff. Who would you pick as your cast?
Dang, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I guess what I would probably do is not really pick a cast, but like pick one of the particular 3-episode arcs from season 2 to like further go into. And I would probably pick the Gorman arc and just like live in that zone for like 8 to 10 episodes and really see
Get
how
some
things.
Space Frenchies cast there.
Yeah, so I would stick with that area and then like really dive into like how things devolve and what was going on and everything like that. So I
Okay.
think that would probably be the direction.
I'm going to be a smart ass here, but it's more for time purposes. I would do a B2 emo spinoff where it's just about B2 and what the fuck he's doing on what meanest, whatever it is, meanest tier.
Meanest tier.
Yeah, it would be about B2 and Cassian's kid, and as Cassian's kid, I would cast like I don't know what's a up and coming young Latin star. I don't know off the top of my head, but that's what I would do. B2 and young C. You know what I mean? Spider egg beignets. That's right. All right. And last but not least, here you go, Phil. Got you on the backside after all. For all the complaining people do about Disney Star Wars, they have produced some greatness as well. Having said that, would you trade away Andor and Rogue One to bring back the old EU as canon? Well, I'm going to qualify this. The old EU was never canon, so that's a false statement to begin with. George never accepted anything written by anyone else as canon. It's out there, but that's fine. Go ahead, Nick. What do you think?
To bring back the old EU skin. I mean, I don't know. There was a lot of stuff in there that I enjoyed. I read a lot of it. I think it did a decent job at expanding the universe for sure.
He's probably talking about Heir to the Empire, you think?
I mean, if he's talking about old EU, it's a lot. It's very expansive. I mean, that goes all the way through
the true
sequel era and everything like that. So, I mean, I guess if it's just the stuff that took place after ROTJ, because that's when Heir to the Empire happens, maybe. And then I didn't read a lot of pre A New Hope old EU stuff, so I'm not really sure what those stories entail. But here's what I'll say: I would probably do it because that includes Revan, that includes all of the Old Republic material, that includes the Dark Nest trilogy, which is the Yuuzhan Vong, that includes the original Heir to the Empire stuff, that includes the Legacy of the Force stuff with Jaina and Jason Solo. There's a lot of incredible stories there. So would I nix those two things in bring all of that content in? Yes,
you Kathy Kennedy hater, you son of a bitch, you Disney hater. I thought we were shills. They're not going to give us our check this month, you dick.
We're not going to get our shill check this week.
Damn it. Yeah, listen, like I said, I was never into that stuff. I can't read, so I'm gonna stick with the moving picture versions of Star Wars storytelling. So Andor and Rogue One get to live in infamy. All right. There we go. That's Ask Us Anything. Like I said, if you want to get involved, just check our socials Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before we go live at 5:30 p. East on youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. All right, so let's do a little pop culture talk. I got checked out a film last week. It's kind of my thing. I know we got 2 this week. We got Megan 2.0 and Brad Pitt's F1 movie. Go see Pity Pity Boy. Nick, if I know you're probably not going to go to either, but if you had your pick this week, would you do Megan 2.0 or the F1 film in the theater?
Probably F1. I haven't seen Megan 1, so
okay.
I don't really.
Easy
I don't
answer
know what that one's all about. Yeah,
easy answer. All right, so that's this week. Last week I checked out this little movie from a small director and writer, Danny Boyle and Alex Garland. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of them.
Oh yeah,
they make some indie films here now. But 28 Years Later came out, which is the, I guess, sequel to 28 Weeks Later, which was the sequel to 28 Days Later. Apparently, 28 Years Later is setting up its own sort of trilogy, you know. So I was like, yeah, I'll go check it out. I'm all about this apocalyptic shit. They're not necessarily undead. They're infected, you know, so they're not technically zombies, if you will. They have the rage virus.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, like, I know this movie is getting its balls licked. I mean, it's like 89%. I've seen a lot of hyperbole surrounding it. And I really enjoyed the first 2 acts, maybe, first hour. But I don't know, man. The second hour, it like just tonally shifts. One of the main characters is taken completely off the board for the rest of the film until the very end. Some choices are made that are just fucking silly for a society that has been quarantined for decades to protect themselves from the outside world. And then it's just like, yeah, fuck the rules. Who cares? I'm going to do this in the name of selfishness. And I don't know. I just like the second part kind of fell apart for me. The Ralph Fiennes character and that stuff's all a little goofy. And it's just like, really? The kid would be doing this after that happened? Like literally 5 minutes after a very tragic thing happened to him, he's doing something very morbid with someone he loves. And then the end, I would argue the end, it just fucking jumps the shark. Like it's just like, whoa, we just went from an undead movie about survival to like a Guy Ritchie British gang like hoodlum movie. Does that make sense? Like it's just like
interesting.
This fucking like Jimmy character comes out, you're like, what? This tone doesn't match anything we've just watched. So but if you like undead penises, there's a ton of them in this movie. Like there is so much male nudity, it's out of control. And we're talking long dongs, like snakes, baby arms, if you will. So these undead, they might look a little emaciated, but they are well hung, and I'm jealous of them, especially the ones called the alphas. But Nick, apparently this movie is setting up 2 more, and Cillian Murphy's supposed to be coming back in one of them. Who knows? I didn't hate it, but I think it's way, way overrated on Rotten Tomatoes. So that's that. It feels like multiple movies in one, and it kind of loses that consistency you'd like to see in tone. All right. So that's that, and a bag of undead dicks. You know what I mean? What's Base saying here? They said the whore female cult will carry this one for generations. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the most male nudity I think I've ever seen in a film without it being purposely rated X or NC-17. I mean, it's just nothing but fully naked dudes running full speed with their member slapping their bellies and all that type of stuff. So, hey, nature's a beautiful thing. We're all animals in the end anyways, all right? All right, so that's that for Pop Talk. Nick, you got anything you want to share with the group, or should we get into our tier list rank off?
Let's dive into it. I honestly have not watched much television in the last week or so. So
Amen.
let's get to it.
Let me get a screen fixed here on the vertical side. Sorry, vertical people. Sometimes our screens don't sync up. Now you can see the big board, even though you probably can barely see the big board. So here we are. Our tier maker board is up. We got S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and cannon fodder. So what are these for? Well, we're going to rank 40 trooper variants that appeared on screen, be it animated screen, big screen, little screen. It doesn't matter. They showed up from the prequel era to the end of the original trilogy. So as I said at the open, this is also going to account for Bad Batch, Kenobi, Solo, Andor, Rogue One, New Hope, Empire, ROTJ. And we got 40 of them. I tried to get away from the like, oh, well, that guy has blue paint. He has green paint. So let's look at, no. Outside of one, like, phase 1 variant, these are all unique troopers. That meaning they have different helmets, different armor. They are unique. Okay, we got 40 to get through. We're going to rip through these over the next hour and 20 or so. And we're going to start with this sexy dude right here in shiny armor with red accents. I have his hot toy. I think he's fantastic. He popped up in the Kenobi series briefly. I think his kind first showed up in Jedi Fallen Order. But he perfects the armor. He perfects the look. I'm talking about the Kenobi Purge Trooper, Nick. I know the images are small. I don't know if you remember what he looks like in his full glory. But full black armor, slightly different looking trooper helmet, red eyes, red pauldron. He just looks like a badass. I love the Kenobi Purge Trooper, but you always set the tier debate. So what say you?
Yeah, I mean, the Purge Troopers, from what I remember in Jedi Fallen Order, were pretty formidable opponents. That being said, everything in that game was a formidable opponent. I think they look super cool. I think their weaponry is obviously a step above normal stormtroopers, stuff like that. And their combat prowess was pretty impressive.
Used to kill Jedi or to go after Jedi.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they do.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, that being said, it's like, I think we may be starting like high A tier here. I feel like this is an A tier trooper right out the gate.
Hey, Bat, guess what? Your vote means nothing. Yeah, I could see. I mean, I would almost, just for looks alone, drop the Kenobi Purge Trooper into S tier. I just think he's got one of the greatest armor sets and looks. I'm also, the colors of black and red, I'm kind of a homer for. Not sure why, but I love them. But I get you. I mean, they just showed up in Kenobi. They did get a hot toy, but they are limited, at least this version of Purge Trooper. So I think A tier is fine for this guy. He is fine.
Sounds good.
All right, the next one popped up during Bad Batch, I believe season 2. We got to see these elite troopers, Nick. They kind of wore the dark gray clone phase 2 type of armor with the green eyelets. We saw them roll out with Crosshair, who had his own unique armor kit, so we'll be talking about his version of this armor too. But they still weren't full-on Stormtrooper looking yet. You know what? I forgot the fucking Stormtroopers from Bad Batch. Oh well. Sorry, people, kill me, but those should be in here. So what do you think about these gray elite troopers? They weren't clones. They were conscripted, but they were more or less wearing painted clone armor.
Yeah, like gray clone armor. They seemed like they were relatively competent. They were probably more competent than your average stormtrooper that we meet in the OT. I think that their armor is fine. Like, it's not anything that's super special. So I'll probably put these guys in B tier if I'm starting off on it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like the gray and green better than the white and black, but it is kind of cloney. So I'm fine doing B tier as well on the elite troopers here. All right, here's an oddball. We could say this is a Legends one here, but these are aquatic assault troopers, Nick. I don't know if you can really see their armor, but they've got thicker armor. Their helmets are kind of scout trooperish, but then they got these like jet pack prongs coming up from their shoulders. They fight underwater. I think it was from a comic, so it is Legendsy based. I doubt many people even knew this version existed. So, where do you want to start these aquatic assault chumps?
Yeah, aquatic assault troopers, their equipment. Let's see, looking at their page here. Lightweight scout trooper design, two-piece environmental bodysuit, blah blah blah. Plasma rifles. I would say that these, I mean, you know, what are they really doing? Like their battle momentum is limited. It's only aquatic. I'm kind of leaning towards C tier, especially since these were like a branch of the Imperial Stormtroopers. I'm kind of leaning towards like BC tier here, just due to the fact that they're a very specialized troop, and they probably didn't have a lot of combat experience given their expertise and their specialties.
Yeah, I mean, listen, these things are very obscure. There are scuba troopers, there's scuba stormtroopers, scuba clone troopers, scuba first order troopers, and then you have these guys trying to cop their style. So I don't know. Like I've got no attachment to these things. I think I'm going cannon fodder for aquatic assault. The
Let's
name's
do it.
too fancy, too long, too dumb. So eat it, cannon fodder. All right, we've got the first variant of our three types of clone trooper pilots. I also missed the airborne clone. You are correct, Bat. I'm just a failure in life, as we all know. But the first one we got up, Nick, again, picture-wise, this is the clone pilot that looks like Oddball, the guy that got blowed up because Kenobi was like, screw him, he's a clone. They truly are cannon fodder, Anakin. We need to save ourselves. So this clone pilot, he kind of had the open visor look with the the
Mhm.
orange goggles, kind of like we saw Luke in his X-wing. So you got to see the clone's face, but armor-wise, nothing to really make you go like, damn, that looks cool as fuck. What do you think about this
Yeah.
version of the clone pilot?
I mean, it seems like like you said, he was literally, cannon fodder for Obi and Anakin. I think that some of these eventually during Order 66 got a couple kills. I think one of them may have taken out uh, Plo Koon that we saw in
Yep,
Rocks.
you're right.
So I'll say because they did have some successful kills onto Jedi pilots. I'll say instead of cannon fodder, I'll put this guy in C tier.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we do get to see Tem's visage there a little bit, so
Yeah.
that gives it a little bit of a bump out of the cannon fodder category. So yeah, we'll take Oddball and his, I guess we could call them Phase 2 clone pilots to C tier land. All right, here comes a fan favorite. I also dig this one, and it is an ARC trooper. So, like, I think they're advanced recon or something like that. I forget the full name. I'm not a clone sycophant like some people in this chat.
Advanced Recon Commando.
Okay, that's I
Yeah,
was
there we go.
sort of close.
You're
But
close. You're
they're
close.
badass. They got like the
Hmm.
accentuated fin on their Phase 2 style helmets. They've got the shoulder pauldron. They're wearing that, I forget what it's called, but it's a skirt. I know it has an official name when they're on them. Bad. If you could give me that, I'd love that. They
Hmm.
always dual wield pistols. They're just there. They're kind of the Navy SEALs of clone troopers. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
Fives was Arc, Echo was Arc. I believe Rex technically was Arc. I think these guys, they're highly capable, and they're also some of the coolest looking clones out there in terms of their armor kits and kind of the Jesse just put the galactic symbol
The,
right on his fucking helmet.
right
So
on his head.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, Nick, I might just nudge a little bit. These guys might be S tier quality, but I'd like to hear what you have to say about the Arc Bros. Commas
Yeah.
are the
My
skirt, by the
first.
way. Thanks, Bat.
There you go. There you go. I think that these are S tier for me. These are S tier. I mean, you got a lot of known troopers that are ARC troopers, like you were saying. Jesse, Havoc, Hammer, Fives, Echo, Colt, Cards, Blitz, Fordo, others out there, I'm sure. That was just a list from the Wikipedia. But yeah, I mean, these guys are badass. They were the cream of the crop of the Phase 2 clones. I think they deserve to be S tier.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sending to the chat. I am trying to get you guys the link to this tier list. I don't know if you're actually going to be able to see it and it's going to update, but I do understand that the visuals aren't the best. I can tell you right now, I'm not printing out 65 little pieces of paper like they do on Beyond the Dune Sea to hold up in front of the camera. So we're not going to change, all right? But maybe you all can look at this or look at the fan board to see the images better. I do understand it's not ideal, but listen, we suck at our presentation. We suck at talking. We're just kind of basic, so that's who we are, and we're not going to change, all right? Okay, yeah, ARC Trooper, S tier, 1000%. Sticking with the clone bros here. This is the one I kind of acquiesce on. I'm like, they more or less look like a Phase 1 clone trooper, but they do kind of have special armor. It's all, flashed out in orange, but these are bomb squad troopers, Nick. So, they got a little bit of splash of white in the middle, but most of their armor is orange. They got some bomb bag on their back, and it does seem like their shoulders are a bit thicker. I don't know. That's just to prepare them to get hit by shrapnel. But we have a bomb clone trooper, bomb squad clone trooper. What do you think about these orange bros here?
Here's what I'll say immediately. Orange is my favorite color, so it's going to be B or above. Orange is my favorite color.
All right.
The fact that they are that they carry around bombs, I think it's like that is definitely a very dangerous type of position to be in. They're always dealing with explosive units and everything like that. I will say that for these guys, I'm going to put them in B tier, and I'll say B tier because they're not as highly trained. They don't have as many skills as the other troopers. They're not going to be on the field shooting and firing, infiltrating, doing things like that. Very specialized.
Yeah.
Still very cool. I'll say B tier.
They're the Hurt Locker of the Clone Wars.
Yes. Exactly.
Apparently, Bat's saying they have wire cutters on their gloves to boot, so they are very specialized for their job.
Yeah.
It's almost
Clearly
like the Republic created living beings just to do certain tasks. It's kind of fucked up if you think about it, Republic. Way to go. Yeah, all right. We'll do Bomb Squad for Nick's orange and B tier. I don't have any problem with that. Okay, we love clones over here. In fact, we're going to be doing clones for the next 5 rankings. But our next clone trooper variant we have, these are the big bad boys, the clone commandos. So think Scorch from the Bad Batch or his brothers from Republic Commandos, the game. I believe Gregor was a clone commando as well. The difference here, Nick, with the commandos versus regular clones is they had much beefier armor. They had different helmets. They had those like the glowing slits for their eye portals. They used different weapons than standard clones. That they were, again, if ARC or Navy SEALs, maybe these guys would be your Army Rangers. They're another specialized set of the clone forces. And, I mean, clearly they were used in the Bad Batch as enforcers even against other clones. So they're like a whole other level of conditioned and loyal to the Empire. They're the mean ones out there. They're very highly skilled. I would say maybe even more than ARC troopers. I don't know. Bat might argue with me on that, but commandos might even be more impressive in terms of their tactical abilities than ARCs. So what do you think about these commando variants of a clone trooper?
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaning towards S tier here. Obviously, these guys even got their own video games before we moved into the Disney Star Wars realm, and they were included in the Bad Batch and everything like that. So clearly there was a big fandom behind Clone Commandos even before they were introduced in Bad Batch. I think that they're highly specialized, like you were saying, highly skilled and talented troopers. I think these guys are S tier.
Yeah. I mean, even the chat is chiming in. We got Bat and League. They're pretty live down there. They agree. Bat's even saying, yes, they are more impressive than ARCs. He is reminiscing about the Delta Squad, which is your Republic commandos, and I agree. I mean, these are cool looking clones, highly efficient. They deserve a spot in S tier. All right, these clone bros here, they're whipping helmets very similar to Phase 1 troopers, but they're not troopers. They're artillery troopers, Nick. And if you notice, they have additional armor plating on their chests and their shoulders and the front part of their helmet. I don't know if that means that they're sticking their faces and chests into their artillery to examine it or why they have the extra armor, but it did qualify them for this list. I believe you got to see him definitely in the Clone Wars cartoon. I'm not sure if they're wearing this exact armor, though, when we see them at the Battle of Geonosis, but this is a trooper variant, the artillery troopers. What do you think about these guys?
Yeah. I mean, they look pretty cool. I know that some variants, like you have different color variants of these as well. I think on here we see like the red and the darker blue. I know there's an orange variant as well. I think that these guys are pretty cool. I will say that they're not going to be like your up in your face melee combat, close quarters combat kind of guy. Like they're hanging back with the mortars, they're hanging back with the long range explosives. And because of that, I feel like if they were to get in a scrap up close, they might fall short
and run away. Like, no!
Exactly. It's like, I can't hit you with my mortar when you're this close. So they probably fall behind a little bit there. I will say that I'm leaning B tier. B tier is my place right now.
I think that's fair because honestly, the changes to the Phase 1 armor are enough to make them not as cool as a Phase 1 trooper. So
that is very true.
And I hold Phase 1 and Phase 2 in very high regard. So I think B is just fine for our artillery buddies here. Do we know, like some of you that are like hardcore prequel and clone lore, would clones that maybe didn't shake out the way the Kaminoans thought they would or the Kaminoans thought they would, or would they be the ones like, oh yeah, your bomb squad or your artillery, or were they bred specifically or you know, they're all cooked the same, but then they're given certain education to dump into their brains? Which way is it? Did like
they have like chip uploads that are specific
like
to
that's
whatever.
Probably what it is, but I'm wondering if all the defunct clones just ended up as like Bad Batchers or 99, or if they're like, you know what, this one's kind of slow, he can be the cook, okay? In
like he's the chef.
Yeah,
this guy's the janitor. He's the runner. He gets your ammo and that's it. He runs it, goes gets ammo.
There's nothing wrong with any of those positions in our armed forces. We love you.
We need them all.
We're with you. I know some of you probably enjoy what's happening right now, but there's probably some of you out there going, what the f is going on?
Yeah.
All right. This one should not be a big debate. And there's another one here, at least from the clone line. Again, I don't think there's a lot of debate, but we'll see what Nick has to say. But I think Phase 2 clone armor is some of the slickest looking shit that George and his team cooked up. It maintained some of the aesthetic from Phase 1, but also started to morph into that familiar Stormtrooper feel that we all knew from the original trilogy. So they do create kind of a great visual bridge between early clones to those shithead troopers we saw in Bad Batch, then all the way up to a standard Stormtrooper from the OT era. But to me, man, the Phase 2 armor, the helmet in particular, is top-notch shit. It's S tier all the way. I'd love to hear if you have a counter argument for Phase 2 clones being taken to the top.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely love Phase 2 clones. I think, like you said, this is the bridge between what we see with the Phase 1s and earlier in the Clone Wars, and then leading into what would eventually become Stormtroopers. My only argument to maybe put them in A is that what we have in S right now are the cream of the crop, right? Like they're the top level guys in terms of combat prowess, in terms of ability, specialization. Phase 2 clones covers a wide spectrum, maybe not as combat ready and competent as the ARC and the Commandos, but they are an iconic clone, so I am okay putting them in S tier.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, you and I definitely have much different criteria. I'm like low level, I'm surface level type of shit. I'm like, oh, they look cool, S tier. You're like, well, they're stupid though. They can't even walk a straight line. So you'll chip them down a little bit, which I appreciate. I mean, you take this very seriously. But I'm an all visual guy. I'm like, oh, look at the colors. I mean, I would have put the Purge Trooper in S tier. That's what I'm talking about, because he just looks badass. I don't care about his skill or his screen time. If he looks cool, they're S tier. But yeah, I mean, come on, Phase 2, they're going up to the top. All right, Bad Batch era, and yes, I know there were other variants, especially at the very end where there was 4 of these CX Trooper units. But I'm going with the main CX unit, the one that kind of gave the Bad Batch a big problem for a while. They had a whole new type of gear. I mean, they didn't resemble clone commandos. They didn't resemble Phase 2 troopers. I mean, they got whole new armor sets. Okay, I mean, it was all gray. It's like very Mission Impossible, James Bond, stealthy type of shit. I don't know. They were cool as hell. But the one we're talking about is the main one, the CX Trooper, Nick. You know, the guy that eventually, I think, chewed into that kill pill or that electro pill. What do you think about this dude?
I really like this trooper. I like the design. Like you said, I like how it's not just like a simple variant of
highly
something that we
skilled
already
as well.
see.
So that checks boxes for you.
Highly skilled. So I'm leaning S tier for this guy. I love the design.
Damn!
I love the skill level. I like that it is a specialized clone, and that it was able to give the Bad Batch, like, you know, already a specialized unit and very, very good at what they do, a lot of problems.
Yeah, just by himself. And then when they teamed up 4 of them, I mean, it was, I know our Bad Batchers eventually won, but I mean, it was neck and neck, as they say. You know what? I always override you because, you know, I like to consider myself the big swinging dick of the SWTS. So I'm going to give you this one. I'm going to go ahead and give young Nick CX S tier. I can respect that. Highly capable and badass looking. Okay, so checking both of our boxes here. Yeah, Bat, you know, sometimes young Nick's got to have his voice heard. He gets the S tier designation for the CX Trooper.
Hey,
okay.
I get one every now and then.
Yeah, every once in a while I let Nick play with the ball. All right, this next one is what our friend Bat, I think what Bat was saying earlier when he's like they were in a Clone Wars episode, and I'm talking about the Scuba Clone Trooper. I know we saw him in Gennedy's Clone Wars when Kit Fisto's down there, literally in like his undies and no shirt with his lightsaber kicking ass. But also in the Clone Wars when I believe they're dealing with that young Mon Calamari, either prince or something. So we did. I mean, they don't look like Phase 1 clones, don't look like Phase 2 clones. They have their very unique looking kit. I mean, their boots are fins. Their helmet is, you know, they got like a real big mouthpiece note that covers their mouth and nose. I mean, they look cool. They can fight underwater. I mean, all that. They got like underwater jetpacks. So, you know, they got some neat things going for them, but sparsely used. So many people probably don't even remember these Scuba clones. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely remember seeing the episode where these guys were deployed in that Mon Cal, you know, the Mon Cal specific episode. I'm leaning towards like BC tier here because, like you said, there's like highly specialized, as in this guy can do like really cool stuff and is useful in a lot of different scenarios. And then there's highly specialized to where like this guy can only fight underwater, and then which is not as good.
He's running on land with his flippers, like, come on, guys, slow down. Like, I can't catch up with my line. He's waddling.
So I'm like, I'm leaning like low B, maybe C tier here. I know that this may insult Bat because he was gonna put my CX Trooper in C, but
no, Bat's calling these guys trash. So I think you're tickling his taint right now.
All right, good. I'm glad we're aligned.
Yeah, you know what? I think the Scuba Clone Troopers, they need to go hang out with Oddball down there in C tier. They're not complete junk. But they're not really that relevant either. All right, here's another one where I honestly think they're kind of just S tier automatically. We'll talk about them a bit, but they're the Phase 1 clones, the first clones we ever saw. You know, they gave us the answer, young Nick and I, to what the Clone Wars were actually going to be about and what the clones looked like. And They were awesome, man. I mean, you had some with the red, some with the yellow, and they're marching off of Coruscant onto those ships, and Bail Organa is pounding on the stoop like, "Fuck, we lost! Damn it, we're going to war." There's so many of them. They all had that fin on the helmet. They had those very thin eye lines that went down and kind of made like a little frowny face. Rex in his Phase 1 armor may be his peak form, although he does look great in that Phase 2 with the eyes painted on it. I love the Phase 1 clones. They kicked off the Clone Wars. They kind of set the stage for like, hey, this is what the clones look like. And every one of us were like, okay, I can see how these eventually morphed into Stormtroopers. So they still gave us that bridge just like Phase 2 did. Just not as in your face like, oh shit, well, I can see the buckets right now. Still badass, though. What do you think about these Phase 1 boys? Are they too basic for you, Nick, or can we put them up there in the top tier?
I like them. I'm leaning towards A tier because I do think that Phase 2 is a marked step above them, and I think that they are the progenitors for sure. Like you said, they're the ones that kind of set the look. They set the standard, but then, hey, when you set a standard, eventually you get exceeded. Your standard becomes exceeded, right? So I think that A tier is where I would place them.
I hate to do this since I just gave Nick a win on the CX Trooper here. But I did this one, like, I gotta agree with Bad. I mean, it is another very iconic helmet in Star Wars. It's one that I think most people, even non-nuts like us, could identify. I would feel bad not putting this one in S. So just for my own well-being, young Nick, I'm gonna ask for a little grace on the Phase 1s, and we're gonna put them in S tier.
All right.
Yeah, we're gonna put them in S tier. They are the Jesuses of the clones, if you will.
There you go.
Okay, we're moving era, but just for a moment. Don't worry, we'll be back to the prequels real quick. But this guy popped up in Rogue One, which I think we all have to agree and say out loud. Rogue One brought us the greatest original trilogy era trooper variants anyone has ever dreamed of. I mean,
that is true.
I'm not going to talk about the other ones because they're still on this list, but one of the ones Rogue One gave us, and they are absolutely fucking awesome looking because of their helmet, and those are the tank commanders. Tank pilots, whatever. I mean, Nick, it's such a different helmet from anything we've ever seen before. It's kind of got flared sides and it curves down. They've just got a single slit visor. The front of the helmet is extra padded and kind of almost comes over their eye slits. They look awesome. I'm just looking at the picture, and this is one you're just like, yeah, this just looks fantastic. Whoever designed this, hopefully they got a raise, or maybe it's Doug Chain himself. I don't know. But I found the Rogue One tank commanders, tank pilots, to be a fantastic new original trilogy trooper variant.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that these guys stood out on screen as soon as you saw them. Everybody was super excited to see a new cool clone or a new cool trooper variant. And I think that this guy is A S tier for me, for sure. A or S tier.
Yeah, I'm sitting there and I want to like make out with them. I think they're so cool looking. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the tank homie up here into the S tier easy. And they're just cool as shit looking. And as I say that, I do have a hot toy. I kind of have like the armor Din War in season 2 that looks similar to this, but not spot on. So yeah, it's great. It's a great type of trooper. Okay. Alesto, it's in the chat. We're doing trooper variants from the prequel era spanning the original trilogy. So we just talked about the tank pilot from Rogue One. Now we're going back to these guys, and there's gonna be 2 of these types of clones. Your Nick's probably going, Matt, what the fuck are you doing, dude? We're trying to get out of here in a decent time. But here we go. These are actually known as Coruscant Guard troopers. Okay.
Okay.
These are the guys that, for those that are just listening, they're the Phase 2 looking clones that show up in the Senate to get Palpatine, to go get Anakin. They have the kind of the red paint at the top and the red checkered top helmets. But this is the Coruscant Guard version of this Phase 2 looking trooper. So they're kind of nasty. You know, they're very loyal to what happens in Coruscant in the Senate. Obviously, Palpatine himself. Look very much like Phase 2. I mean, I technically probably could have cut these guys because it is mostly paint, but because they are a specific type of guard with a purpose, they kind of had those electro spears and all that jazz. They're on it. So what do you think about these guys? I mean, it's mostly Phase 2 with a red paint job and a little bit of chip on their shoulder.
Yeah. I mean, I think for these guys, there's a lot of
they did kill Fives too at the behest of Fox, so that is correct.
So yeah, the red obviously sticks around from when they go from the clone Coruscant troopers to the Imperial Guard, or the clone Coruscant Guard to the Imperial Guard. Keep that red aesthetic. Big change to the outfit, though. I think that these guys are obviously highly specialized. They've taken down, as you said, one of the more famous named clones. So they're very good at their job. They're skilled. I would say I like the red paint, like you said. I like the red color accents on there. I would say A tier for these guys. They clearly know what they're doing. They're picked to protect the Chancellor, aka the Emperor. So I think they could qualify.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they were following orders. Good soldiers follow orders, as Crosshair liked to remind us over and over and over again. So they did waste Fives, but they were doing what good soldiers do. So I'm not going to hold that against them, even though Bat wants to light these guys on fire. I'm with you, man. Hey, listen, I love the color red. I love Phase 2 clone armor. So I think A tier is fair for these dudes right here. All right, here we go. We got some schmoes from the Rebel Alliance. We saw these guys. Honestly, Nick, first troopers to ever appear in Star Wars, right?
That is very true. 100%.
Because they beat the Stormtroopers. So we're talking about the Rebel troopers, the guys in those dumbass helmets and vests with blue work shirts that all stand there out in the open, like they're not even in doorways barely to fight, to do a hallway battle. But we're talking about the Rebel troopers on the Tantive 4 that kick off everything Star Wars. So they've got very unique looking helmets, albeit kind of stupid looking. What do you think about these dudes? I mean, I kind of have an idea where I'd put them, but the Rebel troopers from A New Hope.
Yeah, I mean, they're cannon fodder because they were literally presented to us as cannon fodder. And I don't think that they you see them, the first thing you see is like they're just scared to death looking down like, oh no, they're coming through. They don't have any composure. They don't have the shot. I think they may have taken down two of the stormtroopers.
Yeah, they get like the first and third trooper through the door, and then they run.
Yeah, so I'm putting these guys in can fodder. I know this is the first look at the rebellion that we've gotten thus far, but as we've seen, rebellion ground troops not necessarily the strongest troopers out there.
No, and honestly, like we get another version of these in the New Republic. I did not include them in next week's list either, but they kept the same style of helmet. I'm kind of with the elder statesmen and women in the stream here. I've always hated their helmets. I thought they're stupid. When it zooms in on that one guy with gray hair and blue eyes, I'm like, fuck that guy. I hope he dies. I've never liked them. So, yeah, man, I'm with you. These are cannon fodder. You said it perfectly. They were put in the script as cannon fodder. They served a purpose, and they will be tier ranked as cannon fodder. So there you go, Rebel troopers. Okay, up next, let's go back to that prequel era where the troopers all started, or at least the trooper variant movement. And we've got another variation of a clone pilot. I think this would be like the transition between Phase 1 and Phase 2 to what we got seeing with Oddball, where they're wearing open helmets. This one is pretty badass. It's got like a little eye slit that goes down to the nose. Then you got a kind of an accentuated piece that goes over the mouth for, I guess, oxygen when he's flying in his ship. This one in particular, I forget his name, but he's from the Clone Wars. He does have a name. It doesn't really matter. The point is the armor, the helmet, what he looks like. So what do you think about this version of a clone pilot? Do you like him any better than the Oddball version, or still not really moving you much down below the belt?
Yeah,
Hawk, that's
definitely
right.
like
Bat
it.
got him. This is Hawk right here.
Okay, there we go. I definitely like this one better than Oddball. I like the look. I like the closed helmet look. I like the look that more resembles a fighter pilot that you would see in like Top Gun or something like that. So I'm leaning towards B tier for this
Oh,
particular
okay.
trooper.
Yeah, I see Bat in the chat here. I have this hot toy as well, and it comes with this helmet and the OG pilot helmet, and I do think this is my preferred version. You know, I guess B's kind of fair, really. Yeah. I don't have enough love. I'm not chubbed up enough to pump him up to A, to be honest with you. So I'll let you win this one again. You win this time, young Nick. All right, B tier for that clone pilot. All right, here's another schmo from the olden days, from A New Hope. We've got a Death Star trooper. So he's literally one of those old guys essentially wearing just a bigger, blacker version of the Rebel trooper helmet. You know, I mean, this thing is massive. I'm not sure what the hell that's protecting them from, or why they needed helmets to be standing in like little control booths, because that's all these guys did. But hey, they wore helmets. That's one thing you could say about the Empire. They did not take safety lightly. All right? They did not. You had to wear a helmet on the Death Star even if you were not being shot at. I mean, outside of the Imperial officers, everyone on the Death Star is in full armor or helmets, if you think about it. So all about safety there. But, you know, again, this guy, to me, he's Rebel Trooper territory, but I'd like you to kind of to set the stage here.
Yeah, I think we're synced up on this one. I mean, this guy literally is probably one of the dudes that just explodes on the Death Star and A New Hope. So I think that, considering he has probably no combat ability other than the ability to hit buttons on the Death Star that may activate a cannon somewhere or powers up one of the beams needed for the planet cracking laser, I'm putting this guy in canon fodder.
Yeah, he can go hang out with his Rebel friends and their goofy ultra wide helmets. It's like they're almost like cut off sombreros, you know. It's like they chopped the front of the sombrero off and kind of kept the back there. So not the great choice, not the greatest design choice or look there, Empire. All right. Now, I didn't include Death Star gunners. I'm not even sure why I included pilots. You know, listen, sometimes when I'm putting these things together, I'm like, that looks cool. I feel like talking about, so he's going on. That one, fuck it, who cares, not going on. But this next one, I have a feeling where they may go. You never know with young Nick, though. We first saw them again in Rogue One. They introduced us to the Death Trooper, which they talk awesomely. They have a different weapon set. You know, they got like those fat barrel guns. They got grenades strapped to them, all black armor, green eyes. You know, some of them got the flashlight on their shoulders or their helmet. I just love these things. Again, I know we've already used Navy SEALs and Army Rangers for the clones. These definitely would be the Navy SEALs, Army Rangers for the Imperial Troopers, the Death Troopers. They're just... I mean, they protected Krennic personally. They protected Gideon personally, and they're usually the ones to be kind of thrust into the harder missions or the tip of the spear, as they would say. So, I love the Death Trooper, Nick, but I'd love for you to air your opinion on them.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's clearly S tier. They're one of the most feared Imperial troopers out there. Their design, as you were saying, the green eyes, the black armor, the equipment, top tier. Like these were the dudes that protected the most important officers in the Empire. I mean, we saw them flanking Krennic as he's going to look for Galen Erso. So I think that these guys are S tier for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. I know it's not going to make Bat happy, but that's all right. How this one is even holding a Stormtrooper doll. So this one has accessories. You know what I mean? The one we're looking at to evaluate. But I like the Death Troopers just for the way they talk. I mean, the fact that they have their own coded language is like... It's like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. These guys are definitely badass. So, yeah, I'm with you. Let's go S tier for the DT, as we like to say. All right, this is going to be another hard one to see and set up because they only really appeared in comics. But this is literally the Stormtrooper version of a Scuba Trooper. So if you're listening at home, kind of like the clone Scuba Trooper armor-wise and underwater jetpack-wise, but more of the traditional Stormtrooper type of helmet.
Yeah,
It's another underwater trooper, Nick. None of these have really excited us yet. I have a feeling this is going to continue that trend. So what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is probably cannon fodder too. If the clone variant of the Scuba Trooper is cannon fodder, then assuredly the Stormtrooper variant of it will definitely be cannon fodder as well.
You're still correct. We actually put the clone variant in C tier. The other cannon fodder was still from the OT era. So it seems that once we started getting troops going underwater by the original trilogy, they started to suck even more than they did in the Clone Wars. So yeah, I'm with you too. Cannon fodder for these schmoes. I'm going to put them right next to their aquatic assault brethren as well, so they can have friends down there in loser land. Okay. We talked about his squad mates when we kicked this episode or this tier rank off. Now we are looking at Crosshair's elite trooper armor, and it was much different, especially the helmet. His helmet was completely different, did not look phase 2. Yep. It kind of had the phase 2 at the bottom with the large jowls of a helmet, if you will, but he went with a nice little green slit to go across for his eye port. And we all know who Crosshair is, what his abilities were. He was a stone cold killer. I think he looked great in this armor. In fact, I like it better than his Bad Batch armor on him. I think it fit his personality better. But it is still, it's just that grayed out version with the green visor that we were talking about with the Elite Trooper. The main difference here is he got his own custom helmet.
Yes. So I think that this one here, probably A tier. I like obviously, like you said, the upgrades over what we saw for the squad mates of Crosshair in this, and I think that we had those in B tier. I think this is an upgrade from that. Obviously, Crosshair is a legendary clone trooper of the time. So I'm between A and S here, Matt. So where do you
S tier? You know what? It's not something like I don't want to go make out with this clone right now. So I think that's kind of my indicator, or give him a hug, goose him a little bit. So I think A tier is fair for Crosshair as an elite trooper. I think that's fair.
Nice.
It's a great action figure though. I got the Black Series version of that one. All right. Yeah, all the screens are still synced. We're doing good here, everyone. Welcome to the Star Wars Time Show. If you just tuned in, we are tier list ranking 40, and we've already missed 5 or so, but 40 of the more memorable trooper variants from the prequel era spanning through the OT. We've got our board up there from S to cannon fodder. Our next trooper variant to analyze here, to debate on, it's definitely a fan favorite. It's one I remember vividly seeing for the first time when Empire came out, especially little Kenner toys, because they had that like cheap 1980s plastic that all those toys had to kind of finish off their face mask. But I'm talking about the snow troopers of Empire Strikes Back. I mean, one of the more unique looking trooper variants before Rogue One existed. If you think about it, I mean, troopers were just the white guys, the white armor troopers throughout the original trilogy until we got scout troopers. But these guys, a little bit different. They got their snow gear on. They're not necessarily wearing a full helmet. In fact, it really just is a kind of a helmet through their eyes, and then it's like this hanging thing, I guess maybe so they can breathe in colder temperatures. But they've got the longer jackets, different boots, some chest armor plating there. You got to go all the way back to Empire, and all we knew were just stormtroopers. So you see these guys coming through and you're like, oh shit, and they get to hang with Vader. Awesome. So I'm a big fan of the snow trooper, but what do you say, young Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I really like the snow troopers as well. I think that their upgrades over the standard stormtroopers are noticeable. They look way cooler. They seem to be more effective. This was probably one of the most effective troopers that we saw in the OT
They
era, for
chased those
sure.
damn rebels out of Echo Base, lickety split.
That's right. No issues dealing with the rebels on these guys' front. So I'm leaning towards A tier for these guys. I think that these guys are A tier. Could they dip into S tier? I could see that, but I'm leaning A initially.
Yeah, there's a part of me is like, man, I might fight Nick on this one, but it's just not there. Like, I do love them too because they are so different. I mean, they're probably the most different looking OT era trooper, right? And like overall
Yeah.
kit is very, very different than what we see from our other guys here. But do I love them so much that I'm going to fight for a potential S tier argument? Nah, I don't know. I think I'm going to give you this one. I'm going to give you this one at A tier. It's probably going to upset a lot of people, a lot of ESB homers. But for whatever reason, I'm just not feeling that pull from my soul to bring them up to S tier. But that might not be the case with this next one. I know they're technically a pilot, but we talked about clone pilots, so we got to talk about our friends, the AT-AT pilot. And this is another one, Nick. When I saw these helmets, I wish I had one of these. Even more so than just a regular Stormtrooper helmet. But the AT-AT pilot helmet is so iconic. They have their own special gear as well. They got like tubes all over them, and it's a little more stripped down armor. Their arms are a little more free. But they just they've got the traditional Stormtrooper kind of face, but then you have more of a cap on the crown of the head, if you will. And they drive AT-ATs. I mean, what's more cool than that in the Star Wars universe? You know what I mean? And these aren't clones, so they weren't bred and uploaded like you can drive an AT-AT. These are just dickheads from around the galaxy that got conscripted or joined up. So the fact that they made it to AT-AT pilot is pretty impressive to me. But they also look sweet. So what do you say?
Yeah. It's hard to rank these based off of any level of skill, like you said.
Yeah, you kind of just got to go on the visuals for some of these, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely think that they're a visual upgrade a bit over standard Stormtroopers. I don't think that they look as visually cool.
Okay.
In my opinion, I don't think they look as visually cool as Snow Troopers. I think the Snow Troopers look a little bit more sleek, a little bit more cool. But I think that I would be comfortable putting them in like maybe high B, low A, depending on where your appetite is.
High B, low A. High B, low A. I don't know, Bat. We'll talk about that in a second. I think they're still different than the TIE pilots, or maybe not. Who knows? I'm looking at both of them right now. All right. I literally just was blowing smoke up this trooper's butt.
Yeah,
and after,
you seem like you were all about this.
I know, but and then after you're just like poo 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 ti poo. You've killed my excitement, so I'll put him in B for you. I'll put him in B.
Whoa!
I'll put him in B for you, man. All right, I'm building up a little cachet for down the road in case I need to, pull the host
make a big
supreme
move.
card, yeah, and really switch a tier on you. All right, sticking in the OT era, we saw these schmoes on the Tatooine desert picking up golden circles and riding dewbacks, and these are our sand troopers. So yeah, they are technically a trooper variant, even though their main difference was that they had an orange shoulder pauldron and then like an ammo pack on their other shoulder. I guess their armor was a little dirtier. But for the most part, they had those big like bazooka type of guns as well that they lugged around, and backpack like a backpack. So they are fundamentally different than a standard Stormtrooper, even though their main armor set looks very similar. So what do you think about these sand troopers? I mean, listen, they were smart enough to track down the droids, take out a sand crawler, and then brutally murder two old people. So I mean, they're badass, if anything, right?
They are badass,
and dewbacks love them. Like dewbacks legitimately love these sand troopers.
Yeah, they were able to tame and ride the dewbacks with no problem. They were very, very good at finding the stationary old people that they were looking for and setting them on fire. I guess they were also really good at taking down the sandcrawler, like you said, which we put into the very low tier in our vehicle ranking. So at the very least, these guys are setting good or good at setting old people on fire, and then taking down a sandcrawler that has
Jawas.
absolutely no defenses.
Yeah,
So
literally taking out a species that's 2.5 to 3 feet tall.
yeah, so I'll say B tier for these guys. All that being said,
Yeah, I mean, listen, they still kind of have that trooper look, so they get some bonus points there. But yeah, I'm like you. It's like, okay, these guys are kind of slapdicky if you really think about it, down there on Tatooine, hanging out with their wangs out. All right, this actually came from a recent, not too recent, but a Star Wars comic where it's now considered canon again, Nick. And this is basically just called the Elite Stormtrooper Squad. I know the thumbnail's kind of small, but they're all different looking. Like some were dressed like a sniper. It's very like a squad, or like a squad based video game where one would be the healer, one's a sniper, one's the heavy, but think with stormtrooper armor on. So some had crazier armor, some were wearing ponchos with sniper rifles. It almost looked, when I pulled up the comic book cover, my friend, it kind of looked like the stormtrooper version of the Bad Batch, if that makes sense. So
okay, yeah. So like multiple variants, different skill sets. You can
correct.
kind of see that.
None of
One
them looked the
was,
same, and all had their own specialty.
yeah, yeah. Interesting, interesting. I mean, like from what I can see from the artwork, they look kind of cool. They seem like they're highly skilled. This could be like a tier, I guess. Like it's hard to tell because I'm not too familiar with them in their whatever their specialties are, but I think they look cool enough to where they could possibly be A tier.
Yeah, I'm trying to get there. Here's the. I mean, this comes right from StarWars.com, so these guys are like as legit as it gets. So let me pull this up for everyone so you can get a bigger picture, because they are. It is a unique looking squad of OG Stormtrooper. There they go. Look at that. Look at that tough guy. You got the leader there. He's kind of
Okay.
all clean white with his pauldron. You got the dude in the poncho. You got a dude with 3 knives in the front of him there. You can't really see the guys in the back, but they were their own deal. They are canon. They do look cool. So Sergeant Creel is what Bat's saying. I guess he's the guy up front. And he might use a lightsaber, apparently.
Interesting.
Yeah, when it comes to
Wonder if
reading,
he's
I'm
any
not
good
the
with it.
best. I'm not the best. So, what do you think of the Elite Stormtrooper? The Elite Stormtroopers prepare to strike in Star Wars 21.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I'll go A tier. I think that's what I'm leaning towards right now.
Yeah, they are. I kind of like the dude that's just chilling a poncho. It's like, bro, you're in armor, white armor at that. So what's this poncho really doing for you? What's it doing for you? I kind of like that. It means he might be a little crazy. All right, I can A tier these guys. The concept art, I think, is better looking than what actually ended up as the final art in the comic. I'll say that. All right, we are making great time this week. Nick and I finally figured out how to get through this stuff without taking 5 hours. So that's fantastic. We got to get Nick to a little family event here. So our next trooper, OT Air, showed up in full force in Return of the Jedi. They're experts at the 74Z speeder bike. They've got their little, like almost like a tiny pea shooter hand pistol that they use. They've had Ewoks outmaneuver them, but I don't care about that. I think Scout Troopers, again, when we were in the original trilogy and you didn't have all this, you didn't have the prequel era, you didn't have Rogue One troopers. This was like a big departure from a standard stormtrooper, so they clearly stuck out. Their armor was completely different. The helmet in particular is just so iconic for Star Wars. That's another one I think most people be like, that's from Star Wars, right? They ride the bikes. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm very high on the Scout Trooper. I think they could definitely earn a spot in S. But let's hear what you have to say, young Nick.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards S as well. It's an iconic Stormtrooper variant, definitely much cooler looking than standard Stormtroopers. They got the bikes, they got the moves. I think that they deserve to be S tier.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the fact that Han clubbed them and Leia and Luke
Mhm.
kind of outperformed them, like I said, Ewoks were able to trick them and steal one of their bikes. But that's just the Empire in general. I mean, they were very
Yeah.
inefficient as an armed force when they didn't have their big space station blowing up planets. So I am with you. I think the Scout Troopers easy S tier. Okay, this is not deja vu. I did tease you that we would see these red and white Phase 2 troopers again. But Nick,
Mhm,
these again,
mhm.
StarWars.com. This is no bullshit. These are Imperial shock troopers. So they went from Coruscant Guard when the Republic fell and the Empire rose. They became Imperial shock troopers, and it looks like the main difference is they got one of those shoulder pauldrons, kind of like ARC
Yep.
troopers used to whip. So it's still Phase 2, still red and white. The big tweak here is they got that little shoulder flare.
Shoulder pauldron. Yeah, I'm leaning towards A tier here. I know that they're probably not that much different than their brethren from the Republic, but now obviously they've got a different directive here. So I still think they look cool. I like the addition of the little shoulder pauldron to give them a little bit of a difference.
Oh
So
yeah. Yep.
still A tier for me.
That's right. That is right. They are A tier just for their new flair. They should go work at TGI Fridays. Okay, we saw these goons in Andor Season 1 on Ferrix to help beat back the protests or the fallout from Marva's funeral. These are known as Imperial Assault Troopers. So they've got black armor and a kind of the mud trooper type of helmet with goggles.
Mhm.
Clearly, they're schmoes. These are like low level type of soldiers.
Yeah.
They just kind of hold their riot shields and get their ass kicked by the front line of either rebels or protesters or whoever the Empire's trying to quell. Maybe immigrants. You never know where you'll find the Imperial Assault Troopers, but to me they're like wannabe mud troopers without the extra cool factor. So, what do you think about these guys?
Yeah, I think that these guys are probably going to be either C tier or cannon fodder. Like you said, they're of no skill level. They're essentially there just to like be like
To eat
harass a
shit.
populace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to eat
and
shit.
then just get absolutely dunked on. So I'm leaning towards C tier or cannon fodder.
Yeah, I mean, I believe these are also kind of the same guys that they rolled out on Gorman to start
Yeah.
the party, and like the Empire shot one of them just to just to get things
Oh
popped
yeah.
off. So, um, yeah, I think these are cannon fodder. All right,
Nice.
this next one again, I think it's kind of a no brainer for me. We're talking about the shore troopers, another gift from Rogue One. As we said earlier, I mean, it's amazing to think the amount of trooper variants we got from Rogue One that just kick supreme ass. And this is something I don't think our Lord and Savior Tony Gilroy can even take credit for. I think this was all done with Gareth and his team and whoever's running the art department. But the shore troopers to me are just kick ass with a double S. I love the color of their armor to kind of match the beach, the shore.
Hmm.
Their
Hmm.
helmets are completely different. Their overall kit is completely different. Their weapons are completely different than standard stormtroopers. They got like these big honking double barrel guns. I just think that the shore troopers are absolutely phenomenal to look at, and they do seem more skilled than just a regular standard trooper. So, are you with me on these
Yeah.
guys? Or
Yeah, I'm definitely there with you on this one. I think that these guys are for sure S tier. This is my favorite trooper variant from Rogue One. They just they take that stormtrooper look and completely change it up in an incredible way. I love the color variations, like you mentioned, and obviously they were a devastating force to deal with. Even the rebels really couldn't stand up to them in force. So yeah, S tier for me.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks we didn't have any more like beach battles in the original trilogy to see
I
these
know,
guys.
right?
Luckily, they popped up again in Mando season 2. Oh, excuse me, on that one planet. But yeah, I like these guys enough that I was so dumb. I bought the version you can see, Nick, with the blue, and the one in the
Mm-hmm.
back that just has red on his shoulder. Even though they're the
Yeah.
same fucking figure, I bought both of them. But yeah, they're shore trooper to me, S tier, just like the other two Rogue One troopers we put up there. I mean, Rogue One was just a gift to fans of troopers. Period.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're not done yet. There's another one. We're talking about them right now. The Mimban troopers. And I do include these because they are different. If you really look at their helmets, they've got like ports on them. I don't know if that's like to clear the mud out or who knows. But they had ports on their helmets. Clearly, their armor is dirty as fuck at all times. But they also wear like these nasty black, we could call them capes, but they look like tarps that the soldiers just picked up and put on their backs to kind of give them a little bit of a raincoat as they're fighting on Mimban. But I did appreciate these guys in Solo, and they do feel different than just a standard stormtrooper. I don't know if that pumps them up to S tier, A tier, whatever. But what do you think about these Mimban troopers, the dirty boys?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that they were pretty cool looking as well. Obviously, like if you really break down the look, they're not that much different than a
No,
standard
no,
stormtrooper,
no.
but obviously they have to they have a lot harder environment to deal with. There's some modifications, small modifications, like you mentioned, to the armor to make sure that they can keep somewhat combat ready in that muck and mud that was on Mimban. So I would be comfortable saying like high B, low A tier, maybe somewhere in that area.
Yeah. I mean, I dig them. They are kind of dirty looking, a little sleazy, kind of scummy. So I think I'd be fine putting our Mimban boys in B. They're definitely not as cool as the other soldiers on Mimban that we'll be talking about in 3 or 4 troopers here down the road. All right. Okay, up next, going back to the prequel era, we have I would call this a Phase 1 clone pilot, Nick. So it has a very
Mhm.
similar helmet to a Phase 1 trooper. They get rid of the fin and replace it with a little thicker armor on the crown again. And, we got the Galactic Republic symbol there. But these are the guys we saw kind of flying Yoda in the like into the Battle of Geonosis in Attack of the Clones. So we've
Yeah.
got one clone pilot in C, another clone pilot in B. What say you on our last clone pilot, the first clone pilot to be featured?
Yeah, I think that I'm leaning towards B on this one as well. I still like it better than that oddball open helmet type of look that we put in C tier. But I don't think it quite cracks A tier for me. I think that they were obviously a little bit more featured. We saw a little bit more of them in Attack of the Clones and Clone Wars, stuff like that. But I'm still leaning towards B tier. I think I appreciate the Hawk variant that we have a little bit more than this one as well. So
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say if we're really splitting hairs here between tiers for pilots, the fact that Hawk is in B, this guy has to stay in B because I think
yeah,
head-to-head battle, if we had to, Hawk goes. He's cooler looking than the Phase 1 pilots. So
yeah.
all right, B it up. All right, Bat, hear me out on this one, and maybe this is why I forgot to include the airborne clone. But if you look at this Purge commander, they
Hmm.
pretty much have the exact same helmet as an airborne clone member from, where were they from? The 212th there on Utapau. I actually got my guy right
Hmm.
here, so we can get up close and personal with this trooper on this one. I mean, I'm looking at him, Nick. I'm holding him.
Yep.
As much as I love the other Purge trooper, this guy's definitely up there too. The helmet is super cool to me. I love that like squatty little eye slit and the almost like rolls in his helmet. He's also wearing a comma. Got himself kind of a big gun back there. I don't know. I'm kind of high on this Purge commander, but as always,
Yeah.
let's see what you have to say.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
shit,
also
just
like
ripped his head off.
Oh no, he's dead. He's gone.
Man
He's
down.
gone.
Man down.
I do like the commander more than the standard Purge trooper as well. And we got the standard purge trooper at high A right now, so I'm leaning like low S tier for purge commander. I remember fighting a couple of these guys in Jedi Fallen Order, and having trouble the first time I ran into one. So I think I'm gonna say that this might be like a low S tier. Put this the black and red trooper variant up there in S tier
Oh,
possibly.
big time, Nick Slick. Don't need. There's no debate here. We are going
I
S
love
tier
the
with
black
this
and
guy.
red. I do. I
So I'm
really
telling
love
you,
the
man. Like
black and
I
red.
could put the other Purge Trooper up in S tier. I think that just for the black and red alone, like you said, I mean, these guys are. They if anything, they look good. They look cool, and sometimes that's all that matters in war, right?
That's right.
Okay. So S tier it is. Mandalorian Super Commandos. Should we have included them, or because their name's a commando, they kind of stay off this list?
I mean, they're not really like
Like
what
this
we've
guy,
really
this guy
leaned
right
towards
here.
more here.
This guy.
Yeah, like what we've leaned towards here is more like Imperial Rebel Trooper variants, and not as much like these guys
What you
would be
talking about, Nick?
purely
I should be on this
Mandalorian.
list, you little punk ass bitch.
If he was on that list, I would definitely say he was S tier, but I understand why they were left off.
Yeah,
They're
he's right.
not, like very, very rarely used. You didn't see wide scale combat with those guys. They really only popped up
They're
during.
Mandalorians. They're their own
Yeah.
thing. So I mean,
Yeah.
we could rate Mandalorian armor one of these days because, I mean, listen,
We got time.
we got time. Nick's right. We got
We
a
got
lot of time, a lot of Wednesdays to cover before we get anything Star Wars official. So that very may well be another tier list. The coolest Mandalorian armor out there. You never know. All right. Moving on here. I think this one is considered. No, I think they show up in the Battle of Kashyyyk, but these are clone scout troopers. All right. So their helmets were much more pronounced than the Imperial scout troopers. This one, since they're fighting on a forest planet, they kind of had that green and brown and beige camo painted armor, green eye goggles, but still kind of evoked the feeling of an Imperial scout trooper. So, what would you think about the clone version of a scout trooper?
Yeah, I like these guys as well. I mean, I know we have the standard scout
Grease
stormtroopers in S
clones.
tier.
They were in Commander Grease unit on Kashyyyk.
Yes. Yes. So I'm leaning towards A tier here. I really like the armor variation. I like the color scheme. I like the look of the armor that eventually turns into the stormtrooper scout. So yeah, I think that's an A tier trooper in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like Bat's saying, definitely a precursor to the Scout Trooper. I do remember the helmet seeming overly large when you see it on screen, so I think that's a fair reason to drop that one down to A. All right, you know what? We've been sitting here sucking Rogue One's penis on trooper variants, and I'm remiss in mentioning Solo did the same thing. I mean, they gave us the Mimban troopers, this trooper we're about to talk about, the next trooper we're about to talk about, and the trooper after that we're about to talk about. So chalk one up for Solo team as well in giving us new trooper variants. But we're talking about, and it's too bad he's not here because I know he would be stumping for S tier. It's literally his mascot. It's on his T-shirts. I'm talking about the Patrol Trooper, a.k.a. Sir Dork's Spirit Trooper. All right?
Yes.
We briefly see him in Solo during young Han's speeder chase. We actually rated his speeder last week in our other breakdown. Go check it out in episode 359 of this dumb show. But the Patrol Trooper, again, completely different looking. I mean, he kind of has a body that's more Scout Trooper-like, where more of the black under padding kind of shows through. But a completely different helmet to Scouts and regular Stormtroopers. They got like the dotted, much more pronounced dotted nose, whatever the hell you want to call those. More black in the helmet. And again, a different type of eye slit. But they also, like Scout Troopers, like to wield those pussy-ass looking pistols. So what do you think about the Patrol Trooper?
Yeah, for me, the Patrol Trooper, I really like the look of it. I do think that it's a step up from like the standard Stormtrooper variants. I think that it doesn't quite crack A tier, but it has a very similar look to the Shore Trooper. If you look at like the pronounced kind of forehead armor, the way
Yeah,
that the eyes look a little bit. So I'm saying A tier for this one.
and I will not argue on that one. All right, sticking in the Solo universe, like I said, the next one here is the Mud Trooper, which, quite frankly, I personally think this is a phenomenal kit. I've loved this thing the moment I saw um, whatever the hell his name was in it. Is it Alden or Aiden? Alden Ehrenreich, right? Yeah.
Alden Ehrenreich, yes.
I think the Mud Trooper kit is so freaking cool looking. So cool. You know, they kind of got like gas masks on, but a trooper shaped helmet, but with goggles, and then that like kind of dark green armor. I think the Mud Troopers are S tier, but as always, I am willing to listen to your case.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the Mud Troopers. I've always enjoyed their look. It almost like it is the for me, it's like
It's
the
like World
most
War
different
One, kind
looking.
of, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like that old school like World War One
Trench
pilot type of
warfare.
look, trench warfare, like it almost look like they're wearing like a gas mask
Yeah.
style. Like I love the coloration. I think that these I could definitely see these going in S tier as well. I think that they're super cool looking, and obviously they were a menace on the battlefield as well.
Yeah, I like I said, this is one kind of like that tank trooper, the death trooper. I just look at him like, man, come here. I want to hug you. I want to be around you. So that is an S tier. And our last solo introduced trooper, another one that I think is fantastic. We just saw him pop up again in Andor season 2 with a rocket launcher, and he held his ground even though he knew he was about to get toasted by a turbo laser. I'm talking about the range troopers, right? They got,
Mhm.
in my opinion, cool ass helmets. They're essentially wearing Yeti skins on their back. They've got those killer like mechanical boots that can lock down or lock to metal, but I'm assuming they also can help them walk through snow and blizzards. It's just another trooper that showed up in Solo, was used for a very specific purpose on a planet, you know, a snowy planet. And I just think their design, everything about them just worked perfectly for that heist on Vandor. And I do hold them in high regard as an OT era type of trooper. So what do you think, Nick?
Yeah,
The
I was a
pimp of
big fan of
stormtroopers.
these.
I like that. The pimp. I
Yeah,
like
dude,
that.
the
Yeah.
furry kind of neck
Hell
frill,
yeah,
you know,
dude.
they got a sick look, dude. I was a huge fan of the Range Troopers first time we saw them in Solo. Obviously, like you said, they pop up again briefly and then get
They seemed
disintegrated in
competent too,
Andor.
you know. They
They
gave
yeah,
the squad, or what was his name, Beckett's squad, some shit.
a run. Yeah, dude, and I love the magnetic boots that allowed them to walk on top of the
Yep,
train. That's
yep.
something that we've really never seen before in Star Wars. Their armaments seem like they were super powerful, multiple types of armaments as well. Like so I would say that this is A or S tier for me. I could see A, but if you have a proclivity towards S, I would also
I'll tell you what,
be okay with that.
in all the tier lists we've done, I don't know if we've ever loaded S this much, and I'm not saying
I
that
know
is going to
we're
impact my decision because I really do. I love range troopers, so I'm going to take them up there. I'm taking them up to
let's do
S.
it. Let's
Screw
do
it.
it. It's our list.
That's
Hey,
right.
nobody
That's
tell us
right.
how to
Well,
rank
don't
our
worry.
list.
We'll compare it to the fans. We'll see what the fans had to say. We always give the fans votes on a list, so we are very democratic over here until we're not going to be. Okay, this next one. If you blink, you're going to miss them in A New Hope, but they are technically on screen in A New Hope when the Falcon is being pulled into the Death Star for the first time. If you look in the periphery, you can see some rocket troopers, aka Zero G, space troopers, whatever you want to call them. But there are stormtroopers that are wearing armor that allows them to be out in zero G space. So, Nick, I'm assuming they've got magnetic boots. They've got like a kind of a jetpack. They also use that big ass honking gun, kind of like sand troopers do. But for the most part, they traditionally look mostly like a stormtrooper.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think for this one, I'll probably lean towards B tier again, like where we're putting most of like the standard trooper looks. Definitely nice to have that addition of the cool looking backpack, we'll call it. But yeah, I still think that they're B tier. I still think that they're B tier.
Yeah, again, they're like just little random guys. You can see them. The next time you're watching A New Hope, check it out. When the Falcon's being pulled in, you'll see troopers out in the outside of the Death Star. These are these guys. Would you say for these guys, B them or C them?
I'd say B them. I'd
Yeah.
say B them.
Yeah, because I mean, they still got that iconic OG trooper look. They're just like, yeah. If they were sent to go hang out on the outside of the Death Star, they were probably slapdicks, in basic training. So there is that. All right, Bat's been waiting for it. Everyone's probably going like, hey, come on, guys. You're talking about all these troopers, but you don't have the first ever stormtroopers introduced to the Star Wars franchise, the OGs, all right? The guys that come literally stumbling through the door of the Tantive 4 after they lit it up with sparklers to find the stolen plans from Princess Leia. But, Nick, I mean, these guys might just have to be Auto S because they are it. They are the predecessor to all troopers. They are the godfather of troopers. There were no other troopers before the OG Storms. So as basic as they are now, when we compare them to clones or some of the new variants that popped up in this era, it's hard to shit on just the fact that they started this movement. They are the genesis of the trooper.
Yes. I 100% agree with you here. Even though we're generally ranking standard troopers in B tier, I think that OG Stormtrooper has to be S. They set the standard. They were the first time you see a Stormtrooper in Star Wars, even though they have the aim of a blind mouse, you're still like, oh my gosh, these guys are badass. Like, what is good? Like, really set what the expectation was for Star Wars troopers, for Star Wars bad guys, and it's never been touched since. So S tier for sure for these fellas.
Yeah, Bat makes a great point. Next to Vader, there's nothing more iconic for Star Wars. I mean, that's just a true statement. They really are. It's like pretty much anytime you see Vader, he's going to be flanked by two of these dudes. It's just that is Star Wars imagery. Matty Polanka, I don't know, man. Listen, everyone's got their own opinions, but I think the First Order troopers it was just too rounded looking for me. But if you love those,
and we'll
guys,
get to
don't worry,
we'll get to First Order troopers next week.
Correct.
So we're getting there. We're getting there, Matt.
Yeah, we almost got through the first part of our trooper tier list rank off. So this week again, if you're new, just checking in, just tuning in, we're only covering the prequel era troopers through the OT. So next week we'll pick up with Mandoverse era through the sequels with Legends included. And there's some really goofy ones in Legends that I'm sure we'll have some fun to talk about. But yeah, I mean, listen, OG Stormies, they're too iconic. They are easy S tier, as are most of the troopers in our rank off here. But you know what? They look cool. They have provided fond memories for us, so we're giving them a lot of love today. All right, we got 3 to go here, Nick, and then we'll move on to the fan segment, everyone. So make sure you're staying tuned to your radios, your YouTube players, wherever you're listening to our dumbasses blow way too much hot air into shitty mics. All right, we've got the Bark Speeder Trooper, Bark Trooper. You would have saw these guys during Order 66, I think, when they take out Adigalia. I know there's some hot toy Bark Troopers out there with a slightly different looking helmet. But they definitely had a much different style helmet than your regular clone. I don't know if you can see it too well here, but they look pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. The Barks look pretty cool. Not sure which tier they should go, though. So help us out here, Nick.
Yeah, they're definitely a more interesting look, and it almost like a more menacing look because of how their face mask looks. Like, it doesn't, like, their face mask is mostly white. You don't have that like black slit around the mouth.
Correct.
Yeah,
they just have like little eye action.
Yeah, I think they look pretty cool. I think they look cooler than some of our troopers in B tier. So I'm leaning like maybe high B, low A, but I'm kind of more leaning towards the B side of things a little bit here.
Yeah, I'm with you. things are hell. Just because I'm kind of OCD on like spreads, I'm almost to put them down in C tier. But I'm not going to allow my disorders to affect this list. I think B tier is fair for the Bark Troopers. All right, Nick, we got 2 to go, both from the OT. First one is a Jump Trooper. I believe they were made famous in the Star Wars Rebels cartoon, but they've since been made into Black Series figures. They are kind of cool looking. I mean, these are our jetpack troopers, essentially, of the original trilogy era. So, a slightly different helmet. They've got the kind of that dark yellow gold pauldrons, and of course, they got a jetpack strapped to the back with air tubes. They can fly now. They've always been flying. These might have been the first ones to fly, unless clones were flying. I'm sure they were. So, what do you think about Jump Troopers?
Yeah, I mean, I really like the look of these guys. I love the additional the tubes added on there. I think that adds a cool little wrinkle to it. I think that their ability to fly, as you mentioned, uh, bumps them up a bit. So I'm leaning towards A tier here on these guys.
All right. Yeah, they just look cool, to be honest with you. And when the figure came out, it was a definitely fantastic Black Series figure to get. All right, everyone, we are winding this tier list rank down. We've got 1 to go. You know, they're technically a pilot, but we've been talking about other pilots, so who gives a shit about technicalities? It is the OG TIE pilot, you know, all in black. They got kind of they always looked funny. Like, I don't know if people would watch this part in A New Hope, but when Vader's essentially like, you and you with me, you get to see like the TIE pilots in their full gear, and they literally are just wearing a flight jumpsuit, and then they have a massive oversized helmet. So I don't know if the actors that they were just diminutive looking, or if all TIE pilots look like bobbleheads or Funko Pops.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I still love that all black look and the shiny TIE pilot helmet. They look great when they're in their TIE fighter cockpits that Nick thinks are piece of shit ships. But I do dig the TIE pilot just for the kind of the all black aesthetic, if anything else. Yeah, extra short too. That's right, Bat. They are tiny little.
They have to be very, very small.
I would look like a TIE pilot. Big fucking head, short frame. Let's go, Vader.
I think for me, I like it. I don't think that they're quite as iconic as the OG Stormtroopers, so I'm not leaning towards S here initially.
Agreed.
I really do like the all black, like you mentioned. I think that's a cool color option, and one that we really don't see again in Stormtrooper until you see Death Troopers and variants like that. Like to me, I think that that's like an A tier level trooper. It's a very unique variation.
And they basically fly with knobs. Like if people watch TIE Pilot's pilot or even Vader pilot in A New Hope, they're essentially just sitting there and turning knobs on their yoke or whatever it's called. So I mean, that's pretty impressive. All right, there we go. We have got through part 1 of our trooper variant tier list. We only covered the prequel era through the OT. I'll read off our S tier and our cannon fodder. The rest you all can look up online if you really need to. But S tier, we got ARC Troopers, Rebel Commandos, Phase 2 clones, CX Trooper, Phase 1 clones, Tank Commander, Death Trooper, Scout Trooper, Shore Trooper, Purge Commander, Mud Trooper, Range Trooper, and the OG Stormy. Then down in cannon fodder, we've got some legend stuff in the Aquatic Assault Troopers, the Scuba Troopers, the Rebel Troopers, the Death Star Trooper, and most recently aired in Andor, the Imperial Assault Troopers. Okay, so that's our list. It's the best list. It's the only list when it comes to this style of tier ranking. But let's check in on what the fans had to say. We reloaded the page. All right. Fandom, they're kind of like us, Nick. They're heavy. Oh, no. They are a little more cautious on the S tier. So fans for S tier have Death Trooper, Stormtrooper OG, Clone Phase 1, ARC Trooper, Clone Commando, TIE Fighter Pilot, and Min Bomb Stormtrooper. That's the fans' S tier. The fans' Cannon Fodder tier, Death Star Trooper, and Rebel Troopers. So fans, very, very much different than our list. That is the beauty of the Star Wars Time Show. When we tier rank, we always give you all a say. All right.
There we go.
So that's
Good job,
that.
fans.
And a bag of dicks, as they like to say. Nick, so let's go ahead and transition into the end of the show segment. It is the fan segment. We do it every week to close things out. 2 ways to get involved. Question of the week, which is always going to be themed around our main topic. And then the top 5 Star Wars fan honors features that Nick curates through our Instagram page if you use hashtag Star Wars Time Show, but more importantly, if you add tag at StarWarsTime.show. So let me go ahead and get some things moved around, Nick, and pull it up the question of the week. And you can get started whenever you want.
All right. So to kick off the question of the week, what is your favorite Stormtrooper variant from the prequels through the original trilogy eras? We have Mando Pirate with Snow Trooper. I just love their helmets. There we go. Snow Trooper up there for Mando Pirate. Next up, we have Mac122198, Michael Kramer in the chat says Storm or Snow Trooper for sure. So 2 Snow Trooper lovers right up front. Next up, we got Aries, Lego Legends, and more. First time responder, I believe, to the question of the week. So glad that we're reaching some new peeps out here. It says Bly's Phase 2 helmet style is my favorite helmet of all, I think. So he's going Commander Bly Phase 2 style.
Yeah, he's the Felucia one that overly murders Isla, for those wondering.
League of Extraordinary Sixers, she says, out of my league for this topic, I thought the zombie troopers were looking cool. So zombie troopers, we may get to.
We got you
next round.
Yep. They'll be next week because they're technically Mandoverse era. So League,
you'll
have to come back next week and profess your love for the, I think they call them Night Troopers.
Yes. So good stuff there from League. Scion XTC, the newly married man, says, I think I'm going to go with ARC Troopers or Captain Rex. Captain Rex's helmet were my favorite. So ARC Troopers or Captain Rex's look.
It's all the same thing, so it fits. ARC Troopers. We're with you. We're with you there, Scion. We S-tiered those mofos as well.
Klondike Studios. I haven't seen Klondike's name in a while. Welcome back to the
Klondike's
SWTS.
Gone pretty religious. I'm not sure what that was for, but hopefully they're good.
Hey,
cool.
Hope everything is all good.
I remember Klondike had to move to Florida. They're very active in this community, and then they just kind of disappeared. And every once in a while, I see their story posts, and it's definitely what do you call that stuff? Well, not like kind of born again-ish. And again, I'm not knocking on it, but it's that type of religious fervor.
Hey man, I hope everything's going well with Klondike.
As long as Klondike's good, as long as he's good, I don't really care. But it's something might have happened. This is all speculation.
They say Scout Trooper. So we had the Scouts up there as well. Scout Troopers in that S tier, and he's putting Scout Troopers
talking about based on the chat there. All right,
there we go. Next up, we got Bat right here. Here he is. We were just talking about him. 2797 Studios on Instagram. He says, well, depending on how you're looking at it, but I'll go ARC Trooper clones. There we go.
ARC getting a lot of love. We S-tiered him as well.
And then EKU Rory, I'm surprised he didn't put Jar Jar Binks clones, but he says whoever was hanging with Moff Gideon, which at that time, I mean,
are those the Praetorian Guards? I mean, what's he talking about?
Yeah, I mean, Praetorian Guards. I mean, I guess it could be like the rock, like the jetpack troopers that were coming down when they were fighting Mando season 3. Probably.
I forgot about those guys.
That's probably, so we may have those next week as well.
Well, Rory, we're gonna have them now.
Keep your eyes out.
What Gideon's? What were they called? Were those Mando troopers too? Either way, I know what he's talking about, and they definitely need to go on the list because they're a very specific look of trooper. So
yeah. So I can see
troopers.
what he's talking about. They look cool. They looked cool.
All right,
so
we got you, EKU. Sorry for making fun of you and your lack of Star Wars knowledge. That was not nice.
Okay, there we go. So thank you to everybody who responded to the question of the week. We appreciate it. If you want to get involved with that segment, make sure to follow us at StarWarsTime.show on Instagram or on any of our other socials. Make sure to follow. And then check your feeds for the question of the week. Now we are going to move into the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. Get involved the same way. Follow us at StarWarsTime.show and tag us, add tag at StarWarsTime.show on your Star Wars Instagram posts. I've been seeing new people in the tagged feed, so I appreciate it for all you out there. And to kick off the top 5, we have one of those new people. This is Toys for Shots, TOYZ for Shots, SHOTZ on Instagram. And this is clubbing Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker in the club
Down there in
on
the streets of Coruscant. Yeah.
Yeah, man. He's in his Jedi garb as well. This might be I mean, this is clearly this is Rot's Anakin. This is not AOTC Anakin, so it's not the
Correct.
Anakin that we see when he and Obi-Wan are hunting down Zam Wessel. This might be what Anakin does for fun during his Rot's time before he gets deployed off into whatever skirmish he was going into. He's just getting a little club time in. I like the setup. Like, he filled the frame very well.
Yeah.
You can even see Hera over
Dude,
there
Hera,
on the side.
You got Grief Cardboard, Vel Sartha, Cobb Vanth, Cassian,
yeah, man. He's
some clones,
dude,
and Soul. Fucking Soul's there.
He's got Soul there. This may be this might be the most exclusive party you could get into.
I know he's using them just for filler, but it is funny
Yeah.
that we can name all the characters.
We can name all of them. We caught all these
I'm
guys.
cool.
But yeah, man, I think that this was a super cool shot. I love the use of the purple lighting. I think this is probably some sort of digirama from the background. And the setup is fantastic from Toys for Shots.
There you go, Toys
Instagram.
for Shots. Check them out on the IG.
Yes.
Okay,
indeed.
real
Check
quick,
them
Nick.
out.
This artist, pretty much every fucking trooper variant I was looking for, this artist has
A shot of them.
illustrations of him, and I was scared to use
okay.
them because I don't want to use someone's artwork on the show. You know what I mean? So
Gotcha.
it was funny that
okay.
you picked Honed in the top 5 this week, when literally Monday and Tuesday, as I was building assets for our tier board, pretty much anytime you query a trooper variant, Honed has done
this
it.
This guy comes up.
Yep.
So there we go. I mean, what a fortuitous pull here. So as you're saying, Matt, this is at Honid, HONNID on Instagram, and they just have this incredible fan-made Star Wars comic book cover where you see a KX droid that is clearly about to take out a rebel trooper that is in full modified stormtrooper gear.
Oh, phase 2 clone, in fact.
Phase 2 clone gear. Yes. Yeah. My bad. That was my bad on that call. But yeah, full phase 2 stormtrooper gear. This KX droid is choking this guy out. I mean, this is what a sick looking cover. I just can't speak highly enough about how awesome this looks. He gives us some close-up shots of both the rebel trooper in the phase 2 variant armor and the KX droid. The fire in the background looks awesome. I mean, everything in this piece of art, I will say, is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I actually just read it, and I encourage everyone to read it. But essentially, Honed has cooked up like a series in their head that these are decommissioned clones that are. This is what they're doing during the Rise of the Empire time. So it's kind of cool, little backstory there. So this is at Honed with 2 N's on Instagram. Check them out.
All right, good stuff. Next up, we have Mind Trick Photography. Mind Trick
here, man.
_ photography. Yeah, this is some awesome stuff. We got Darth Malgus, one of my personal favorites. We know I'm a SWTOR homer, but Darth Malgus is just a badass looking dude. We see him here having taken out a bunch of troopers. And if you know some SWTOR lore, you do know that Darth Malgus does not stay loyal to the Old Republic Empire. He becomes a rogue member on his own. So him taking out
it's an alt-universe shot where Malgus is somehow in the Imperial era.
Somehow Malgus has returned, they say.
No, was that introduced in Fortnite? Did we miss that?
Yeah, exactly. But I love the glowing effects that he did on Malgus's respirator and his eyes. good lightsaber effects, good posing of the down troopers there, and then obviously a menacing pose here from Malgus
Yeah,
himself.
kick-ass shot. Mind trick
Kick ass.
_ photography on the gram.
That's right. Next up, we got Tong Wars. We
Here
were
you
just
go.
talking about Tong Wars earlier with the questions to us. And now Tong Wars is giving us his specialty. This is the Battle of Hoth, as he calls it. And you can see Luke Skywalker standing on the down snow speeder, two AT-ATs approaching with a bunch of TIE fighters overhead in Tong Wars' classic spot. I mean, this is some beautiful stuff here and very reminiscent of the Battle of Hoth for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, Tones is one of our favorites. Been there since the get-go. Love the Lego shots. Always love the outdoor environments they pick. Excellent work from the Tong Wars on Instagram.
That's right. All right. And then the final of the top 5, we have Toyverse Rick, which used to be Star Wars Rick. Toyverse Rick's hitting us with this awesome Boba Fett, Neo Boba Fett, new Boba Fett, whatever you want to call it, Mandoverse Boba Fett, Fennec Shan, Black Chrysanthemum, taking out some pikes here, and we get the nice close-up shot of Boba really blasting that pike right in the face, taking him out for good. Good setup, super clean quality shot of the close-up on Boba here. Love Fennec and Chrysanthemum in the back. All around beautiful shot
that
here.
pike is eating some
Toyverse
shit.
Rick.
Eating
Yes,
some shit.
yes, he is.
Courtesy of Toyverse Rick on Instagram. Give them a follow.
That's right. And that is the end of the top 5 and the end of our show for this week. So, Matt, go ahead and
That's
close
right, my
us
friend.
out.
It was a good time again doing a little tier listing with you. Real quick before we do our end of show spiel, we do have a little bit of an announcement. Nick has found us a new partner to help with the show, hopefully, maybe bolster our coffers a bit. They are Dubby. So we are now Dubby ambassadors. We have our own code. I've got the website up now. What Dubby makes are energy drinks, and they're supposed to be jitterless. Looks like they're mixers here. It looks like they've got like some anime partnerships right here with this Shadow Monarch Surge Solo Leveling official license energy drink tub. We've got Dubby sampler packs with shaker cups. So if you're into energy drinks and you don't want the jitter, you want to try something maybe a little more fruity and doesn't come from a ratty-ass gas station, make sure to check out dubby.gg and use our code SWTS. Next week, hopefully, we'll have a little more insight into the product, as I know young Nick has secured some Dubby to juice himself up. Unfortunately, I've been banned from caffeine since I was 20 years old, so I will not be able to partake, but it looks cool. If I needed energy, I would definitely roll with some Dubby. So Dubby.gg, use promo code SWTS if you choose to sample any of their energy drink products or accessories. We speak their name, and we're even going to have a pop-up moving forward. Check that out, Dubby.gg. Order it up. Use promo code SWTS. Okay.
Boom.
So there's that.
There we go. Check it out. SWTS for 10% off. And then when you use that code, you support our show. So
that's right.
If you're looking for a shaker bottle, they sell shaker bottles. If you're looking for some energy, jitterless energy, hit them up, Dubby.gg.
Give it a try. And like hopefully next week, like I said, we'll have Nick drink the whole damn tub live on the show to see what happens. Will his heart explode, or will he be talking faster than young Nick has ever talked in his entire life? Will it seem like he is on cocaine? Who knows? Let's see what happens next week. But thank you to Dubby and the team. Dubby.gg. Don't forget to use that code SWTS. Save yourself 10% and kick us a few quarters. All right, people. Sometimes I hate holding my hand out, but these days, screw it. We put a lot of work in this thing. I know I do every week. I know Nick does when he's getting our shorts out there, getting ready for this stuff. So we support any style of appreciation you can give us. If it's just showing up for the live streams, that is plenty. But if you do want to go above and beyond to help your bros of the SWTS, one thing you can do when you're watching our streams, give us a super chat. Kind of like B-Mad, Kramer. Or if you want to go a little more long-term, try to get yourself some exclusives for the live stream, you might want to consider becoming a channel member. We got the button down there. Just join the channel up for as low as $1.99 a month. You'll get your special looking Vader emoji next to your name in chat, plus access to custom emojis like you're seeing here from Bat with our little Grogus. We got League with our Vader trophy heads. So, you know, if you want to join the club officially, subscribing is fantastic, but if you want to go next level, consider that channel membership. And why should you? Well, you know what? We're schlubs. We're slobs. We barely get by. We need food for we need money for fast food. But in all seriousness, there's always time for Star Wars time. So why not? Why not? Why not become a member? We always know there's time to talk about that galaxy from far, far away. We do it every Wednesdays here on YouTube, and then it hits podcast platform on Thursdays. Wherever you subscribe, we love you. We speak your names. Drop ratings and reviews on the podcast platforms. And like League and everyone's saying in here, let's go ahead and like this video, leave a comment, share it with your friend, clip it, do what you got to do. There's always time for Star Wars time, and if you listen to the Star Wars Time show, the Force will be with you. And Dubby, away.